Hello, this is Dave Gunning. You're listening to Retrospectives with John Broughton on KCFM 97.7. You see, the truth is in the middle, but this time I disagree.
I'll try not to push your memory too much here with this, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
I believe you've been doing a little bit of interviewing yourself lately, I've noticed online.
Well, just for a 6-week period, I was part of a global music match.
Yeah.
And we had to interview the other acts, so there were 6 of us total. So that meant that I had to do 5 interviews. I had to interview so I'd never done it before. It was it didn't come natural, but
no, you did fine. You did fine. Might be a radio career there for you.
I don't know. I don't think.
Hey, the last time you were out here in Australia, you took part in the Festival of Small Halls, which is a fantastic thing. Takes you to some faraway places that some of us never even get to see, and we live here. What are your memories of that?
Just traveling to all kinds of beautiful little villages and the landscape and traveling around Australia. I'd been to Australia before twice, and I played Woodford years ago, and then did some gigs in Sydney, and then some in Brisbane, and then I came back and did some dates with Shane Howard, and we traveled a little bit, and he showed me some pretty cool spots, but the Small Halls was an incredible opportunity, and I felt that I got to know the country a bit better, because you're getting into some of the smaller villages off the beaten paths that are where there's still like the characters living there.
It's a fantastic concept. It really is.
Yeah. So we met lots of cool people. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
So looking back, is this something you ever think of? What line of work you'd be doing today if you hadn't pursued music?
No, I mean, one of my sons asked me that just a couple of days ago. I didn't know how to answer, and I think I've been doing this for so long, and it snuck up on me gradually, but I've been doing this since 1995, so it's a long time, and I went to St. Mary's University and studied commerce, and I thought, I didn't really know what I was going to be doing, but maybe my dad was an entrepreneur. He was a plumber, and then he got into fixing up houses and selling them, and so I growing up in a family where one of my parents was an entrepreneur, and Mom worked with him. It maybe made me a little braver, willing to kind of work for myself, and so maybe that's how it started too.
So looking back, who were the first songwriters to really inspire you to want to take up the craft yourself? Stan
Rogers for sure.
Yeah.
And when I was 8 years old, that's the first live performer I ever saw in my life was Stan Rogers. He was opening for an artist named John Allen Cameron. Mm-hmm. And it made an impact on me at the time, no doubt. And I always sort of thought about Stan and, of course, John Allen. But it wasn't until I went to university that I went down to the local music store, and, I had moved to the city, and, I grew up in the country basically. So I went down to the music store and bought a Stan Rogers recording, and it just freaked me out how good it was. I always liked, songwriters like, of course, Dylan and, the famous songwriters of the world. But what made Stan special is that he was writing about small towns, and he was writing about us. He was writing about Atlantic Canadians, and he wrote songs for people that had never had songs written for them before, really, like he had the ability to write a song that would make a tough fisherman cry, and I think that he was probably the most influential, influential person for me for writing, and of course Gordon Lightfoot.
No, of course,
but I still love Gordon Lightfoot. Yeah.
And John Allen Cameron, another one you just mentioned also just before, is not a name we know too well down here in Australia. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, and he wasn't a songwriter, but he had a national TV show, I guess, years ago maybe before I was born, and he would feature artists from different parts of the world. And I believe John Prine's first Canadian appearance was on the John Allen Cameron show, and Stan Rogers' first TV appearance was on the John Allen Cameron show. And and he traveled around. He was just a great entertainer and sang great songs, had really good taste. And he actually recorded and the band played Waltzing Matilda, the famous Eric Bogle song. John Allen did a beautiful version of that song, and so therefore I ended up recording it when I did a tribute to John Allen Cameron recording a few years back, and that was one of the songs that I recorded, and his wife gave me permission to use an original audio of John Allen singing, which I was able to mix into the beginning of the song.
Tell us about where you're from there, Pictou County, Nova Scotia. Is it an area with a strong music culture or strong music background?
Yeah, areas like Cape Breton Island, that's not too far. Lots of music there. Lots of musicians around this part. What's interesting about the actual county where I'm from is that most of the musicians play in cover bands. They play in rock bands and country bands, but for some reason I always was pulled into the whole folk scene. But artists like Lenny Gallant just over in Prince Edward Island, and I listened to a lot of Terry Kelly, and there were like songwriters and singers from Atlantic Canada that were always coming to our area. And we have a concert hall that was built here years ago called the DeCoste Center. So a lot of those great performers would come into the DeCoste. So that gave me the opportunity to hear some of these great songwriters.
And you're still there to this day? You've never had the temptation to relocate?
Yeah, no, I love it here. And, the crows know me here. It's like, I basically live on the same road that I grew up on.
Wow.
And, there's something special I find about living in the place where you grow up. And, some people have moved away, some are still here, and others will come back, times like Christmas to visit or whatever. And, you really know people, and you know why they are the way they are. You know their history, and it's special.
I guess your songwriting too is very influenced by your surroundings. So your songwriting may have gone down a totally different path had you moved somewhere else.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I guess you're right. What you know, and I do enjoy writing story songs about underdog characters and stories that I hear. Of course, traveling on the road, you hear so many great stories and kind of jot a note here and there. And then once I get back to good old quiet Pictou County, Nova Scotia, it gives me time to write them.
Your songwriting radar is always up, looking for ideas, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So can you pinpoint a specific moment in time where you really started to develop a self-confidence in your writing?
I don't know. I would say that I'm not a confident artist, maybe by nature. And I will write songs and not have confidence that they'd be good. And it's a weird thing for me. I just wrote a Christmas song a few days ago, and I just wasn't sure, and then I played it for a friend of mine, JP Cormier, and he's pretty honest, he loved the song, which so that sort of gives me a little bit more confidence. Like I think I get too close to things. Sometimes you can't really tell, is that cool or is that cheesy? Sometimes it's hard if you're the person that that's actually created it. You're not sure how it will be taken by others, or what they'll think of when they hear a line. Or, I work pretty hard at writing. I certainly take the craft of songwriting serious, and I always try the best I can. But yeah, I don't always have the confidence.
I read that you're an extremely shy person in your younger days. Did that make you a reluctant stage performer? Did that take a bit of pushing yourself to get up there?
Yeah, for sure. But like crazy, like sick to my stomach, or butterflies, and almost, I had a panic attack at one show where I was singing the national anthem, and I had no guitar, and it felt like my heart exploded. There was no pain, but I could feel, it felt like warm liquid flowing down my limbs until my hands and feet were pins and needles within a few seconds.
Wow.
And a friend of mine was with me, and he knew I wasn't right, and he got me off the ice surface, and we went outside and got some fresh air. But I think maybe part of the reason why I took to performing was maybe because I was nervous too, or shy. It became a way to express myself. And in some ways hide behind the guitar, I suppose, or hide behind the songs or whatever. But now I've been doing it so often that I'm not as nervous as I used to be. I still get nervous sometimes, but one thing that I really enjoy doing that helps calm my nerves is joke with the audience, tell stories, and get them laughing. I love seeing audiences laugh, and I find that on stage, if I can get a few good laughs, that it just eases the tension, and everybody just feels, okay, good, we got that over with now. And plus some of the songs are sad, so I find that it's more socially acceptable to kill a guy in your song if you've made the audience laugh in the story.
I suppose when you really think about it, you're not in a hostile environment. The audience is paid to come and see you. They want to see a good show, so they're not waiting for you to fail. So they're on your side. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always that's one of the things I'll try to tell myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing you're known for is a great storytelling element to your songwriting, and obviously a great part of that is a great story. But apart from a great story, what else do you think are the key elements of good storytelling?
I'm not really sure, but it has to keep my attention, and I think that there needs to be imagery there, lots of things that will draw people in. And one of the things I remember when we were, writing these story songs in the beginning, one of the things that I would try to do is tell the details of the story in the verse, for example, and make sure that the chorus of the song was universal and maybe something that people could even sing along to, or just something with broader, more universal meaning, and then leave the details for the verses. Mm-hmm. I think that's one way that helps tell the story in songs.
You write alone, but not only that, you are very open to writing with other songwriters in a co-write situation. Do you take a little bit out of each co-writing situation that makes you a better writer when you get back to writing alone?
I think so. I know for sure that when I look back at my catalog, that one of the things I'm proud about is the diversity within the material. There's a lot of variety within the subject of the songs and the chord structures of the songs. There's quite a bit of variety. It's not so much sameness. So I suppose the co-writing thing helps spread the genetic pool out a little bit within the writing. And and I become a lazy writer sometimes if I'm just writing by myself. If I'm co-writing with somebody else, you want to it helps keep the energy up, and you're always trying to impress the other person, and maybe you work a little harder, and kind of gives you a bit of a kick that way.
Yeah. Do you always have to be at home based to write? You can't contemplate writing on the road?
I do write sometimes on the road, but most of the writing is at home when I've got everything and kind of a nice space to work and kind of get snuggled in and focus on it. But but yeah, sometimes I do write on the road, but most of the time I do write at home.
Yeah. Do you like to road test new material before committing it to record, engaging an audience feel for a song?
If I can, I have done that with songs, but sometimes it's a situation where, you start recording a record and you find that there's a theme developing.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes what will happen for me is I'll record half a dozen tracks for a new recording and then write some new ones that fit within those others. And so that's one thing. So that doesn't give you the chance to road test them. There's some of the songs that I listen to now, I sort of think, I wonder if I should go back and revisit those. And now that I've had so much time playing them and they've sort of developed, maybe. But then there's other times I'll go back and listen to something and say, what did I do there? I forgot that I did that.
Matters of the environment play a big part in your songwriting. One recent song of yours I was just reading about earlier about gold mine. There was a protesting about a gold mining, new gold mine being established at the St. Mary's River. Is that right?
Yeah. So there's a St. Mary's River Association. There's a proposed open pit gold mine that's right on the river, basically. So the folks there are pretty nervous because the salmon population has finally been coming back because there was gold mining there years ago, and the remnants of the old mines are still there. But life has been rebounding on the river, and the salmon are, like I said, coming back. So they're pretty nervous now about this proposed open pit gold mine, which would process 27 tons of rocks just for 1 ounce of gold. It's amazing. The equipment is so big now that they can just hammer through it. But another environmental issue that I was really involved with for approximately a decade was an issue with a pulp and paper mill.
Paper mill, yeah.
In my hometown, which was owned by Asia Pulp and Paper. In the end, it was particularly dirty one. They used more water per ton of production than any other pulp mill that we could find anywhere in the world. And we actually looked to Australia. One of the engineers that started working with us worked in Australia and designing closed loop mills over there.
Oh yeah.
That recycle the water, because in Australia, of course, water is more of a precious commodity. And here in Canada, sadly, water is still taken for granted. So this particular mill was using 90 million liters of water every 24 hours.
Goodness me.
Just to dilute the effluent so that they could pass the federal water guidelines for what was being released into the water. So, it was terrible what was coming out of the stacks, and high rates of cancer in the area. And they were dumping right in the middle of our only First Nation community. So it was quite a fight, and I learned a ton. And I was really worried when I took this cause on that I wasn't going to be able to write, that I would be so busy focused on this stupid pulp mill issue. And what happened was it ended up inspiring songs and inspiring my writing. So I guess, passion fuels creativity, and whatever you're passionate about, go for it.
Exactly. Do you reach a certain point in your songwriting when you know a song is finished that requires no more editing?
I don't know. Some of them I would like. I think These Hands I feel is completely done. A Game Going On. Like, I would say a lot of the songs I would consider completely done. But every now and then, to this day, I'll sing a song and think, oh, I wonder if I should have used that word. There's like a little tweak here. But so I don't know if with some songs I feel confident that they're indeed done.
Yeah.
And I try to make sure they're done, before I put them out,
Production's another area that you've done a little bit of work in as well. Is that something you'd like to take further?
I do enjoy it more and more. Every time you get to do it, it's a little different. I mostly just do it for my own stuff, but I have been home more recently as well too. So it's been fun to do that while I've been home, and lately I've been thinking of recording as an oil painting. I work, where you're working with colors or something, and so always trying to figure out little splatters of textures or things that make it interesting.
Yeah,
I've been trying to apply that sort of approach to my own music, just to take it somewhere a little bit different, but being subtle about it, because at the end of the day, I think it's important that the acoustic guitar, the vocal, and the story is the most important thing, of course. But Mark Lang from Australia, he's an artist, a close friend of mine, someone I admire for his production work. And he has spent some time here at my place, right in this very room here. And he was big on room mics and getting, a real spirit in the sound of a recording.
Yeah.
And so he was, we've been having a lot of fun lately when I record to use room mics and get cool sounds.
Does being a recording artist yourself, does that give you a big advantage when sitting down to produce other artists?
I don't know. I'm definitely sensitive to wanting to make sure that they're happy every step of the way, and I never like to say I'm going to produce this. I usually like to say, let's work on this together, and I'll do everything I can to help you out, but let's make this a real team effort, and that's mostly the approach that I take.
So where would your best markets be outside of Canada, Dave?
So there are pockets of enthusiasm, I suppose, in the U.S. in a few spots, and Australia. To be honest, the times that I've gone over there, I've loved it, and I find I've received a lot of support there, and I don't know. Every time I've been there, I felt at home. It's like it's a strange feeling when you're in Australia. It's a strange feeling of exotic and familiar. Yeah. All at the same time, and I just friggin' love it. So it's definitely a spot where I love to play music, and I think people have a great sense of humor there. Yeah. People don't take themselves so serious there, They're always cutting each other up a bit. It's just like it is here. Not the first Canadian to sort of make those comments. There is a connection between Australia and Canada for sure. Yeah. So when you're recording, is anything in the works there? You've been busy writing songs in this strange times we're in at the moment? Yeah, well, ironically, I was writing like crazy up until March, and then when everything went weird, I went into survival mode or something. But I've been starting to write again lately, and writing quite a bit. So that's probably what my focus will be during downtime this winter. Yeah, is to hunker down here and just continue writing, and look at doing another recording, figuring out how I'm going to do that. What this one's going to be like. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, we'll look forward to that. Hey, Dave, thanks for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you, and you're always welcome down here. So when international touring is up and running again, we look forward to seeing you back down on our stages again. Thanks, John. Thanks so much. Thanks for all the wonderful songs, and many more to come, I'm sure. Yeah, thanks a bunch. All the best. Yeah, you too. We'll see you later. Cheers. Yeah, thanks. Bye.